Ichi, ni, san, shi. Tomo arigato Mitsubishi Tsunami. Garuga meshi Honda anta baka kawaii. Konnichiwa sensei senpai, I pray you'll notice me. Cause I'm a righteous guy who loves my Japanese enemies. Yokozuna Sakura Ninja Gaiden Nipponichi Shigeru Miyamoto Tojo Ohio Kamikaze Sumo Sushi Zan Kokuna Tenshi no Yoni. Cause we're two gaijin besties who love Japanese enemies.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Pleeb and the Weeb, the show where we talk about anime and you decide which one of us is the Pleeb and which one of us is the Weeb. We just watched ReZero Kara Isekai Seikatsu Hajimeru Isekai
ReZero is what it's called. The end. Second-hand unwinds. If you're lost and you look, then you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will get you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. On Crunchyroll. If you fall, I will get you. I will be waiting on ReZero.
So Jesse, we watched this show. It was 25 episodes. We watched it all day and last night with a group of 4.
Yep.
We had a whole adventuring party to take us through this show. What did you think of it?
Well, I'm going to be really generous to this show
Okay.
and say that it was adequate, average, unremarkable, milquetoast, ho-hum, middle of the road. It didn't give me cancer, but it did taste like a cigarette.
Milquetoast is the word I had in my head from the beginning all the way through. Okay, I think I need to address the hype around this show because it's ridiculous.
The
and everyone's gonna talk about
inexplicable
it.
hype.
Yes, totally bizarre that this show started off and immediately was on a lot of people's radars, and it just kept picking up steam as it went. Like, between the 2 seasons it ran, everyone was talking about it. And I was constantly getting people asking me to talk about it because of the fact that it's very divisive. There's like one huge camp that adores it, one huge camp that despises it, and everyone wanted to know what side I was going to fall on.
Disgusting.
And
These
I'm
weak, weeaboo wimps can't wipe their own asses without validation from him.
I don't get it. I don't get this of all shows is one I don't get why people needed me for. Like, okay, with Sword Art Online, like, you know, that show has tons of plot holes. It has all these weird inconsistencies. It doesn't make any sense. It's all over the place. The characters are terrible. Bad things happen. This show doesn't have any of that. Did you have any moment that you were, like, legitimately, like, I don't understand what's going on?
There was nothing that I hated about it that I don't also hate about everything of its type.
Yeah.
It didn't even have the courtesy to be extremely bad.
No. It's just very normal. There's nothing, no moment, like, I mean, there's plot holes, but they're like minor contrivances that I don't care about, you know? The plot is stupid, but it's, I don't know, it's the worst example of the plot, like the Groundhog's Day loop, because that's what it is. It's like a Groundhog's Day loop. He resets when he dies. I've seen 1,000 shows that do it, and they all did it better. I've never seen one do it this badly. But, yeah, it's a boring show.
I just don't get how anyone can be interested, not only in the show, but in your opinion specifically, or in anyone's opinion. It's the most basic, like, you can tell who it's for.
Yeah.
And if it's the kind of show you like, then you're gonna like it. And if it's not, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Everything that happened was exactly what I expected from episode 1. Like, point to point.
I was so, like, struggling throughout it to form opinions about it.
Yeah.
And to articulate some kind of feeling. Like, there were multiple times when I, like, started a thought, like, this is fucking...
Yeah. Out loud. You were like...
out loud.
There's moments in this show that are kind of cool, And not in like okay, when I say a show, like let's say we talked about Steins Gate or something. Like Steins Gate might present an idea that's so interesting that you're just like, holy shit, that was awesome. This show doesn't have anything like that. It has moments where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that girl's backstory is okay, you know? And then it'll immediately follow that up by like 5 straight minutes of just drilling it into the ground.
The dialogue was...
The dialogue is abysmal.
It was that typical hammy, redundant, constant speeches that's in every horrible anime ever, but to an insane degree.
Yeah, like... Because the biggest problem I have with light novel writing and light novel main characters is the proselytizing. It's that they have to, like every time they're gonna do something, they have to spend 5 minutes explaining like the moral reasons why they're doing it. Yeah. But it's always like some dumb chode who's doing it. It's
a constant competition between characters to see who can say the same thing the most times.
Right, and to just explain like. When he's like, oh, you know, I'm a coward inside, and that's why I can't do this and that stuff. It's like all this stuff that doesn't really mean anything. Yeah. You know, like it's not really consequential to the characters or story. It's just like a thing happened, and then a character spends 5 minutes explaining like their mindset about that thing. It's just totally boring and like dumb and shit that they're making up on the spot.
Yeah. Well, he's going into this rant about how he hates himself for talking big, but even when he's talking about how much he hates himself, he's talking big about how much he hates himself. Like, you can imagine the girl he's talking to be like, okay, I get it. You hate yourself. You're a piece of shit. I get it. Can you fuck whatever?
Right. And this show does what I hate about meta anime these days. And, like, a lot of people have pointed out, this main character guy is meant to be, like, a caricature of the typical light novel guy, right? That he's, or the typical weeab, like, not weeaboo so much as hikikomori otaku trash.
I just can't care about this show.
And I get that. Yeah, it is that. But that's also what all the characters in all these shows are. They're all commentaries on otaku. They're all typical, you know, viewer insert characters. The fact that he is that is exactly what's so typical and boring about it. That he's like, yeah, I'm a weak shitbag. I sure do suck. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You are a weak shitbag. You sure do suck. I hate that. Why do I have to watch a show about a guy like that? You know, I hated him. I hate the main character a lot.
Every time I see that protagonist, I hate him a little bit more. Because it's not even that he was the worst protagonist I've ever seen. It's not that, like, having flaws makes him a bad protagonist. No. Because that's not the case at all. It's just that, like, I've seen him. Exactly him. Yeah. And I'm not nearly as into whatever this all is as you are. But I've seen him a lot. Right. In my nightmares.
Like... There's a lot of moments where he quotes Shinji Ikari and says, like, an unfamiliar ceiling when he wakes up. But he ain't no Shinji. Shinji felt like a real person with this, like, complex depth to him where, like, he was emotionally disturbed for reasons we clearly understood in the show. You know, his father and him had a strained relationship. His mother's been dead. He goes through all these terrible things. You really get into his head and, like, he expresses his feelings in interesting ways. This guy just, like...
He's just spurgy.
This guy's just he's just a hikikomori who's just shit. He literally says, like, I've done nothing with my life, I am nothing. And then he yells about it.
It's not even that he's, like, not confident or, like, or cowardly or depressed or hates himself. That would all be things that I can, on some level, understand. Right. But it's just the constant spurgy outbursts. All he does is scream at people and yell at people.
The screaming is just... unbelievable. Like, at his best, like, in his moments when he's, like, actually on top of his game, he just starts shouting inane shit at people. Like, someone will... He's almost as bad as the main character from Outbreak Company, but in that show, the character was kind of portrayed as, like, he's supposed to be, like, awkward and weird, and everyone's, like, uncomfortable around him. In this show, the main character will just be, like... And they're like, okay, guy, I guess you're still around. Like, why didn't they throw him away immediately?
He keeps going back in time, so he's lived with these characters longer than they've known him. So it makes sense that he would have grown this deep affection for all of them. But they're also developing an affection to him, and I don't understand why, because from their point of view, he's just a guy who is constantly screaming stupid bullshit in their faces. Yeah. 24/7.
There's a scene, one of the best scenes in the show is a character explaining, like, why she's developed feelings for him. And, like, she's, like, in love with, like, everything about him. And it's like, you've barely known him that long, you know, from your perspective. And most of what he's done has been completely ignorant bullshit.
He's just a tantruming weirdo.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
So, okay. We've hammered on a lot about the main character and how much you don't like him. The thing that gets me the most about this show, and there's like a small stretch of episodes, not even a stretch, it's 2 episodes that are like okay in the middle of the show where cool things happen. And I want to emphasize that like my biggest problem with this show on the whole is that most of what happens isn't cool. Most of it's boring. Like, people talk about how, like, you know, okay, the idea of it, like, a guy dies horribly and he goes back in time.
There were flashes of cool throughout.
Yeah.
Constant, small, isolated fragments of a different show that was cool at some point.
There's, like, the idea of a guy resetting time and going back, like, you can think of all these ways that could be cool. Like, oh, he's going to use tactics based around, you know, like, what he does with his resets, but that barely happens. He's going to, you know, have all these gruesome, gory deaths. And there's, like, 1 episode that really delivers on that. And the rest of it's just, like, you know, people just get slashed and then they die. And, like, the first 4 episodes are, like, all centered around this fight scene that takes place in a fucking dark bar where you can't see anything. It's just darkly colored. People are just jumping around, doing flips in the air. No one's power levels make sense in relationship to one another. They're all just shooting spells haphazardly around the room. It was fucking boring. What are you doing? You fucking idiot.
There's no way to talk about this show and have it be interesting. I have to do something stupid. I have to act like a clown to feel like something is worth it. We spent a day and a half of my limited time on this earth watching a show that is worthless to me.
Yeah.
It means nothing. I'm going to forget about it as soon as I walk off this set.
Yeah. We watched this show so we could do a video about it, essentially. Because of the fact that people kept asking me for my opinions, and I said, guys, I'm not going to talk about the show until it's over. Call me on the 18th of September when it ends. And of course, as soon as the 18th of September rolled around, everyone in the universe called me. So I said, fine, I'll watch the fucking show with my buddies, about some of them sitting off screen. He's waving at the camera that's not facing him. And, like, you know, we all sat there and we were all bored and we all thought it was dumb and lame. And we just were like, well, that's a thing we did now. And I don't know, maybe.
Well, like, the show was massively more fun watching it with all of us.
Yeah.
Because we were making jokes,
I could not
we were
have
making
sat
each other
through this
laugh
alone.
consistently.
Not at all.
If I had tried to watch this show alone, on my own, I'd have given it a 0 out of 10 and given up in 1 minute.
Yeah, exactly. And, okay, back when episode 1 aired, you know, me and Nate and Jeff and some other guys did the Weeb cast. Actually, I don't remember who else. Yeah, other guys. We did the Weebcast, and we talked about this show's first episode, and I said, like, look, this episode's not offensive in any way. It's just kind of boring and generic. It's the same stuff I've seen before. It's not offering anything new. And I said, there's probably going to be moments throughout the show that are pretty cool, and then most of it's going to be pretty boring, and it's going to have its ups and downs, but ultimately I don't feel like I need to watch it. And after having watched the show, it was exactly what I thought. It was all of those things. It has a couple of cool moments that don't justify sitting through 25 episodes of who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares about this plot, and why? Why? I want to sit down with someone who cares about this plot and just grill them. How could you care about this? How is it possible?
To be, like, maybe it's the first story of this type they've seen. Because I keep trying to remind myself that I'm 27 years old, and that everyone watching this show is probably 15, even though, like...
Jeff's 23.
My heart wants to believe that, but my brain knows that everyone watching this show is probably older than me. I don't know, man.
Okay, so I guess we can probably get into spoiler talk. We've made our opinions on the show fairly clear.
What's the spoiler? Nothing happened.
Number one question everyone's going to want to know, who's best girl?
You know, that is the one thing about this show that was decent, was Rim and Ram. Rimmity Ram. Rippity rippity rip.
Rem and Ram were
shit.
Easily the best characters. I mean, like, the show has some pretty good designs. There's a lot of cute girls. Most of them show up maybe once and then disappear forever.
Yeah. They're mysteriously absent for, like, the last 4 episodes.
Yeah.
The 2 girls that are the only interesting characters.
Well, like, in the first arc, you have Felt. She's cute. She's cool. They're doing this whole... They set up this whole arc where it's like, we're going to try to elect the new queen. And they've got these 5 candidates for the new queen. 4 of them are like... There's the main girl who the main guy is in love with, who's totally boring. None of us cared about her. And then there were 3 other girls who were like all these stone cold bitches who were trying to take the throne. And then there's Felt. And it's like, Felt... has like an interesting motivation. She's like, fuck the throne, I'm gonna tear down the establishment. None of that's heard from again. They never bring up the whole queen election again. Felt never shows up in the show again. And it was pointless, and I didn't care.
You know, I appreciated that the twins were different characters.
Yeah, that's cool.
Looking at their designs, I expected, okay, I get this. They're the same girl. They're both Rei Ayanami, except one of them has red hair. But neither of them were Rei Ayanami, and they were both they had their own unique personalities and their own unique motivations, which is such a basic thing, but for this show, it seems like an amazing feat for a show of this type. I'm consistently flip-flopping throughout the viewing of this which one we liked more.
Well, I mean, Ram would have stayed the favorite if not for the fact that she disappears halfway through the show and Rem's the only one who's there for most of it. Because they just decided she was the wife.
Yeah, you know? I wish Red Girl had gotten more screen time. She was my favorite.
Because Ram, during we all loved their backstory. We thought it was a cool little backstory. I love the moment when Ram gets her horn cut off and Rem smiles. And that's like the best moment in the whole show to me. Like, of character development. It was the best moment of like,
that whole episode where it goes into their backstory was like, okay, yeah.
And then like them fighting the dogs was fucking stupid, but at least those characters had something going on.
Yeah,
I love that Ram was fucking the guy. The fact that Ram is basically fucking the weird Kefka guy is really cool. That they have like a relationship on the side, and she's not just a part of his harem. You know, the other sister is, but she gets to go fuck someone who's actually like competent and worthy. There
were a lot of things, like whole arcs, that just seemed like weird distractions from the plot. Like, there's like 3 or 4 episodes where they all get like washed up on Houndoom Island, and they have to fight this like dog who's also a shaman. I don't know why he assumes the magic dog is a shaman. It could have been a dog wizard, a dog warlock, but he sticks with the phrase shaman. I don't know where he looked that up. But after that, there's a whole thing. There's like a 5-episode arc with a giant flying whale.
The whale is by far... God, okay. So the midsection of this show, there's a moment when it starts to look cool. It's episode 15. All the shit hits the fan. Like, he gets into the worst timeline. Everyone dies horribly. Like, you just see all this fucked up, gruesome shit. Then he dies, and he meets this crazy evil man who is over the top and hard to watch, Betelgeuse. He's annoying to watch, but... he has the most, like, personality out of any of the characters.
You're getting called out over there.
He's giving me 2 thumbs up, so I don't know if that's
the best character.
Yeah. He's kind of, like, in many ways, he's the best character. I find him infuriating to, like, watch, but he's also so much more entertaining than this lifeless show. And he, like, accuses the main character of not being a real crazy person. And he's like, he's like, real insanity is, like, on this level. You're just a little bitch. And then he horribly murders Rem, which was really hot, and I liked it. And then, and then the main character guy like carries her body, and we see this giant cat explode out of the roof of the castle and just freeze him, and his head falls off. And
just
it was
a wave of shock and horror that went through the entire room when you said that.
It was great. So that whole episode was cool, and like the imagery was cool. And this show, I think, is like fairly well directed. It has moments of like really artistic like transitions and like cool moments and stuff.
There was, that one particular scene where it was the end of the episode and one of his many deaths, but it was his best death.
Yeah.
Where the snowy guy said, "Fuck you," and he...
Best scene in the show, by far. We were all kind of hyped after that.
We were like, hey, the show's finally getting good!
And then the next 2 episodes were totally boring. And then episode 18, ironically, this one's contentious because the whole thing is a conversation. Just a conversation between Subaru and Rem. And
that was one of the highlights.
That's one of the best episodes. Yeah. Because, like, that's when he finally, like, does his big autistic speech, but he actually gets all of it out there. And, like... he kind of even overshoots in, like, because he's, like, talking about how shitty he is as a person. And, like, even I, as a viewer, is like, well, you're not that bad. Like you haven't, like, you have
Cut
done...
yourself some slack.
You
there,
have
buddy.
done a
You
couple
try.
things in this show. You haven't just fucked up constantly. And then Rem, who is a perfect angel from heaven, she just gives this whole he's like asking her to run away with him. I think
she's a pathetic cuck. She's a battered housewife.
She is a pathetic cuck.
I have no respect for her. She's spineless.
Well, that's the thing. Like in that scene, if it had ended with like they get together, that would have been great. But instead, it ends with he's like. Ben's talking to our cameraman about how cuck Rem is. Why are you doing that?
He's got a point. He's super cuck. Super 100% cuck.
So Rem's like, I'm in love with you. And she gives this beautiful speech, and instantly we're all in love with her. So we don't understand why he's not in love with her. Because Subaru's like, you've given me the confidence to admit I'm in love with Amelia, the girl who I've spoken to 4 times, and it's not as hot as you, it's not as interesting as you, and doesn't give great speeches. And Rem's just like, that's cool, I still love you. And then
he's a bad boy.
Later on,
that poor girl.
Later on, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna let you hang around me forever. And she's like, yeah, cool, I get to hang out with you and be cucked by you for the rest of my life.
I'm gonna allow you the privilege.
Oh, God.
Well, that brings up why, in my opinion, Ram is the superior girl. Because she's actually a person and actually doesn't take no shit. She's not going to stand around and get cucked by some fuckboy. No. She's going to go out there and get what she wants, which is the big, flamboyant vampire
who's like extremely powerful and ripped and muscular. I mean, he acts gay, but they're obviously fucking, so... I approve of that couple.
You know,
I haven't seen any porn of them, by the way. Tons of porn out of this show.
All the porn is about
all of it's Rem.
Because it appeals to this weird, pathetic, weak, wimpy, weeaboo fetish of girls. This fantasy that girls will be attracted to their beta behavior and their beta personalities that I see in every anime, and it always makes me sick because I'm a hardcore MRA. Neckbeard, Stormfront, Red Pill.
Big Tao.
Yeah, Big Tao.
Is that a Pleeb or a Weeb characteristic?
Yeah,
I really want to know.
Put that on the straw poll. Pleeb, Weeb, MGTOW.
It is pathetic, though. Like, I mean, I'm willing to accept Rem as a character just because I like her, but the concept of the show, like why she's in the show, like why she would act this way bothers me. You know, I'm not bothered with her. I'm bothered with the idea of her. Maybe just because I'm a weeaboo fuckboy who just wants a girl who's obsessed with me, and I think that's super hot. But like,
and another thing, speaking of stupid fetishes that I hate, you know, both of those characters, both of the twins, I feel like they would be better characters if they weren't wearing those stupid fetishy maid outfits for the entire series. It's dumb. Everyone can fucking disagree with me and say that I'm crazy. That's what the straw poll is for. You can call me the pleb or the plebe because it rhymes. That's the whole gimmick of the show. Yeah. I invented it. I'm the genius, so he's the pleb. But the point is, that thing that I just said.
Yeah, I mean, I think their outfits are super cute, but I do think the boob window is unnecessary. Like, if it just went all the way up like a real maid outfit, I would have no complaints about that.
Once I realized that they were real characters with their own personalities and motivations, and they weren't just stock templates, I felt like the characters were too good for those outfits. I felt the whole show, I was like, just put them in a fucking t-shirt, for Christ's sakes. Let them dress like normal peeps.
Yeah.
So they can be my peeps.
Why do they never just give Subaru some clothes that fit the damn places?
Yeah.
Why is he in a tracksuit the whole show?
That weird Russian gangster tracksuit. I don't know why.
Yeah. The way he emerges into the new world, he just blinks and he's there.
Yeah. What the fuck was that? There was like there was no fanfare to it. No anything.
And none of the important questions are answered at all.
Like there was no wizard who jumped out from behind a corner and said, "Fuck you! You cut me off in traffic the other day. You're going to a bad place or a place filled with sexy girls or whatever." Because the wizard is gay, so he thinks it's bad to go to a place with sexy girls. In my canon, but that's not what happened. He just blinked and he was there. Like, what?
I mean, I guess I guess they just didn't want you to think it was okay, how he got here is not a big deal. Fuck it, you know. Like, I think that might be what they're going for, but it just
is a big deal. Fuck you.
You can't do it and not raise the question of why is he there, and like, why does he have this time leap power? We learn very little about. What's the deal with the witch? We don't really learn anything about her. What's the deal with anything. Like, what's the connection between Amelia and the witch? Is what at one point the cat thing transforms into a big monster cat and calls Amelia its daughter. Never explained.
Oh, yeah.
Never brought up again. She's like, don't fuck with my daughter. He's like, I think it's a he. Is it her father?
It's a big fucking cat. No, it's not her father. It's a liar. People aren't cats. God damn it. This is why anime is trash. Always was and always will be. And that's why watching this show from beginning to end, I felt some of that pain that's been keeping Hayao Miyazaki alive all these years. That rage building up inside me. Cats aren't people, god damn it. That's what he says as he whips the fucking Ghibli animation team into shape.
Hasn't he made a bunch of movies about cat people? The Cat Returns?
It was an accident. The cancer is even inside him. That's why he hates it so much.
So, alright. God, really it was... What broke me is the last stretch of episodes. This show... The early episodes were boring. The whole stuff when he first got to the maid house was fucking boring. The first 2 arcs were really boring. The arc about the maids fighting the Houndooms was like, okay, because they became characters, and we were like, alright, that's cool. Then the next arc, when everything got really dramatic and crazy, and he was fucking getting his head cut off, and then Rem confessed to him, that all was pretty good. And then after that, the last 7 episodes are horse shit. They are the worst thing they could possibly have been.
I just can't believe that, like, Rem fucked off for 7 episodes and was never seen again.
They concoct this plan
Rem
where they're
too, for
like,
that matter.
we're going to save, because like the idea of the plot was that he kept showing up at the mansion and everyone was fucking dead because of this witch cult, and he's like, I'm gonna save them, and the way I'm gonna do that is by getting these other people to help me, and they're gonna help me because I told them about this giant sky whale and they want that sky whale dead. So then for like 3 whole episodes it's just them fighting a sky whale, and it was so fucking boring and inconsequential. Because all I'm thinking about is, when do we get back to the mansion? When do we get to continue the plot we know is happening? And by the end of the Skywhale arc, I legitimately forgot why it was happening.
There was one cool part of the Skywhale arc, and that was the Wilhelm, the character who the whale killed his wife. He was basically Ahab, and he had a grudge against this whale. And there was a few scenes where he was going apeshit and beating up the whale. But it just seemed like it should be like a 3-episode anime about this character, and that should be it. Like, he had nothing to do with the show that we were actually watching.
Nothing at all. He is introduced, his whole backstory is introduced, he fights this whale, he does all this insane shit, he's like running along the whale, cutting it, blood's exploding everywhere. It was like something from Soten Kodo, or like some really manly show, you know, like some big masculine anime, and it was totally out of place. Nothing like the tone of the series we've been watching. And then it's over, and it just doesn't matter. Like, that whole white whale plot was completely inconsequential going forward. You know, other than in that it, like, you know, like, we didn't have to see it. He could have just said, I'll help you fight the white whale, and then we could have had, like, a quick montage of them killing the whale, and then gotten back to the fucking point. And then when we did get back to the fucking point, I didn't care anymore, and the last arc was stupid. This is the last arc. 2 episodes of the main character trying to, like, kill the bad guys with all his compatriots. We watch that happen for 2 whole episodes, then he dies, and he goes back, realizes how he fucked up, and they just do the same thing again, but this time they don't fuck up. That's it. 4 episodes of that. The entire second half of the last episode is just him lying in Amelia's lap and them, like, saying gay shit back and forth, and it was really dumb, and I hated it. Do you have any other thoughts on what happened in this show?
Yes. You know, it felt like he didn't go back in time enough times to justify how successful he was. He's a very lucky character to an annoying degree. Nor how broken he was. You have to earn that level of broken brilliance, and I don't feel that he really...
He is no broken man.
He did not make the proper sacrifices to the 7 deities to earn his brokenness.
The scene, like, okay, this show, I've watched all of these, all the damn... you know, Groundhog's Day, right? In Groundhog's Day, there's a montage of Bill Murray literally killing himself in every possible way he can, right? Then he achieves broken brilliance later in the movie.
It doesn't feel like he's fucking up and getting gradually better. It feels like he's fucking up a couple times and then giving
up.
He gets lucky.
Yeah. Well, in the scene where he like has the big conversation with Rem, it's like, you know, he's trying to give. He's like, I tried everything. You don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm at my breaking point. I'm giving up. And I'm like, you tried 4 times.
Yeah.
4 times. And like, he didn't try that many different things. Like, he did a couple things. A couple ideas he had. They didn't work. Like, why don't you die like 80 more times and configure a plan like everyone else?
All
in these
of his
shows?
plans, the extent of them is just yell awkwardly at somebody and hope that things go my way.
And then after Rem like convinces him, like. He's like, yeah, you know what? I will try again. And then he instantly figures it all out. And I was like, why didn't you just do that? Why are you going to give... If you had all the answers, why didn't you just do that? Like, nothing changes. Nothing at all changes between him who's going to give up.
He needed that confidence boost that comes with cucking someone so horribly
I guess so.
that it ruins her life forever. That's what makes you a man. Once you've once you ruin someone's life.
Does that count as a plot hole? I guess that's what bothers me the most out of anything in the show, is that he literally went from, I'm giving up, and then without going back in time at all, now has all the solutions. Stupid, dumb
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Yep.
All right, concluding thoughts on this show?
Well, you know, being as fair to it as possible, I want to give it a 5. Just a 5. It was the most middle-of-the-road thing I can imagine. There were good parts, but not enough to justify me thinking that it's good in any way. It's just whatever. But from a purely subjective point of view, in terms of how fucking worthless it is to me, a 3.
Yeah. I would say that for me, like, I feel pretty much the same way. Nothing was like insulting to me. Nothing about this show. Like, people kept asking me, "Are you gonna do like a ReZero sucks? Like, you know, break it down in 14 parts?" And I'm like, no, nothing about it's that bad.
Yeah.
It's not like there's no like weird rape scenes. There's no completely broken logic. There's no powers that just totally don't make sense. I mean, a lot of stuff is left unexplained because obviously it's an ongoing story that they tried to wrap up as quickly as they could. There's still way more to go. That's annoying, but it's not broken. The show is not inherently broken. And like, but there's nothing good enough to justify watching it. Like, if I could get those 8 hours back, I would happily take them back, you know? So for me, it's a 4. Like, a flat on 4. Wow. I was tempted to go lower. I mean, if I said what you said about, like, you know, how worthless it is to me, it's a 0 because I never should have watched it. Like, I should never have.
Well, I value the time that we all spent together watching.
Yeah.
That's what bumps it up to a 3 for me.
Yeah, I never should have sat through it, but if I compare, like, I mean, it's not as bad as the shows I've given a 3. You know, like, I have enough of scores in place that I can kind of put this in a place and be like, okay, it's better than Zankyou no Terror. It didn't make me nearly as mad as that show, but it's even worse than Nanana's Buried Treasure, because at least that one was really fun for the first 3 episodes. So it's right in between those at the 4 spot, and that's where I'm putting it. Yeah, we did it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Fuck anime. Bitch.